Hello, and welcome to another impactful episode of Partnerup, the show where we explore the stories, strategies, and successes behind groundbreaking partnerships in business. Today, I'm Amanda Etuk, your host, and today's episode is all about partnerships that empower. We'll delve into how one platform is not only connecting lenders and borrowers, but also reshaping the peer to peer lending landscape in Nigeria. I'm Amanda Ituk again, your host for today, and joining us is a trailblazer in fintech, Babatunde Akin-Moses, an all-round solid guy, the CEO and co-founder of Sycamore. We'll dive into Sycamore's journey, explore the core values that have driven the success, and discuss the art of building trust in a space as delicate as finance. Stick around because this is an episode you don't want to miss.
Looking to take your business to the next level through partnerships? Then join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. for Partner Up.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketing, sales, or partnership professional, Partner Up is here to give you the tools you need to succeed.
From in-depth interviews with industry experts
to real-world case studies of successful partnership strategies that drive innovation and business growth,
we dive deep into what it takes to form successful partnerships.
Thursdays, 10 a.m.
Don't miss Partner Up.
Imagine the world where the voices of the youth finally get the spotlight they deserve.
Welcome to Raise Breakfast, the groundbreaking show where young minds unite together to tackle issues that truly matter.
We're flipping the script on traditional morning talk shows, and this is your chance to hear the youth speak out.
We're not just skimming headlines, we're diving deep into the heart of topics that impact us all.
From politics to governance, tech innovations, mental health, and trendy social issues.
We don't just discuss, we ignite conversations that inspire change and spark action.
Join us every morning for fresh, young, and vibrant perspectives
that empowers the next generation to make a difference.
Start your day right with Raise Breakfast, because when the youth speak, the world listens. Raise Breakfast, weekdays at 8 a.m. live on Upgrade TV.
Welcome back. Before we dive into our conversation, a quick reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's at Official Upgrade TV, and follow us on Instagram at partnerup_AB World. For all future updates and then upcoming episodes, don't forget to share with your network. This is going to be a great episode. I'm really looking forward to speaking to Babatunde today. But before we go in, we do this wellness check every time before we go into the topic of the day, where we just ask questions, because as a busy professional, nothing beats having your physical and mental health in check. So, with December around the corner, I know that a lot of people might be beating themselves up about not meeting their goals. What is one wellness thing that has kept you strong this 2024? It's been a challenging year. What has kept you going?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think I started taking my physical health, a lot more seriously this year. I started watching some interesting things that I eat, and I did my best to try to get more sleep. And I think that's really helped. I should probably do better, but at least there's an improvement. And I think generally I'm just looking at everything, including the healthier eating, more sleep. I'm not looking at it from a progressive standpoint. It's a continuous journey, right? And you wouldn't okay, now I have the formula for it, right? And I think that sort of puts you in a good place mentally, knowing that, look, you can always get better, and try to get 1% better at doing those things every day. So say
So
that.
I know you as a very driven person and a go-getter.
Yes.
I know that, again, this year has been tough for a lot of people meeting their targets and their goals. What has helped you stay on course? We're in this December where people are going to start rolling out their achievements, and where people are going to be looking back, a lot of reflections. What would you say has kept you going? I know that you've had tremendous success this year. I also know it's been challenging, but I want to know what has kept you going, and what you would say to someone who feels like they're lagging behind on their goals.
Yeah. I think that I like the way you phrased the question. And again, I'll put it in, the way you've said it, which is, it's not over till it's over. And I know that it sounds very motivational speaking, like to say it, but
Preach, Pastor.
I would say I would say that there is a lot that can be achieved if you really just say persistent. And really, I think the softer things, people take it for granted, like how much it means to have people that are supporting you, friends, family, and having a system of accountability. So I think when you have that thing behind your mind that some people are looking up to you to sort of do better, yes, it can add extra pressure.
I was about to
It
ask
can add
that.
pressure.
Wouldn't that be,
Yeah.
more pressure just thinking about the people who are looking up to you or
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
So I was
I
concerned.
think, yeah. No, I think it's both ways, to be honest. It's a half full, half empty kind of stuff. And I think, well, I'm an optimist. So I think the way I would look at it is from like, you can let that sort of keep you down in terms of pressure. You can let that be like fuel to keep you going. And I think that's really why, people go to the gym together, people eat together, just to have it like, okay, you know what, I'm not in this alone. When I am doing well, I can pick up somebody not doing too well, and vice versa as well. So I think, that's generally my perspective to it.
I like what you've said a lot about accountability. A lot of times we find ourselves in some healthy competitions with friends, and that really helps. What you mentioned about going to the gym, I haven't found my accountability partner for that one yet. I'm still dragging Alero to do that with me, but I
Yes.
understand what it means to see someone who is your peer or
Yeah.
your counterpart succeed at things. It is for a lot of times.
Yes, it is.
But again, now that we've talked about accountability, staying true to yourself and avoiding that comparison game, because it's a balance. So just let me
I'm
know
not that
how
right.
you've dealt with that, because in this
Okay.
startup world, that's a real thing.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I think you're spot on. I think somebody said comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
I don't know who said it, but I like it. So this year, interestingly, a few weeks ago, I traveled and I saw one of my old friends, friend of almost 14, 15 years, right? And we're just reminiscing about how those of us that started our careers together, there's like 10 of us, give or take, right? And we're all doing different things, different countries, different professions. And at every point in time, you don't want to do it, but you just sort of think, this one has bought house, this one has 3 cars. I'm still struggling,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think what we like to say to each other is everybody's running their own race. Everybody's on their journey, and I like to say something, and I was thinking about it on my way here. It's really a timing difference. There's certain things that you wanted to do before that you couldn't do. Let me give you an example. Then when we were in university, TM Lewin shirts were 7.5, and somebody would buy 20, and I'm like, okay, and just do the math. You know how much USD the dollar was then, and I was like, oh my goodness, and and the way I sort of looked at it then, and I still look at those things now is, look, when is your time? It's your time, right?
True.
Just keep doing what you're doing. We're all running different races, and just sort of, again, let other people's journey encourage you, not put you down. It's really a perspective thing, and you really have to work on your mind, because it is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? Again, half full, half empty.
Yeah.
You're running your own race. Let other people's journey encourage you, and just know that, look, with time, everything good will come.
That's so powerful. What I just want to say is trust in your own journey.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
Babatunde is one of the most encouraging, supportive people. I would like to say that I think that you find time to encourage others, even people who are building things similar to what you're
Thank you.
doing.
Thank
So
you very much.
please find accountability partners who actually care and will not put you under pressure. I think it's
Absolutely.
really important. We're going to take another break,
All right.
and then I'll properly introduce this Babatunde that I've been saying so many great things about, so you can actually know who we're speaking to today. Thank you so much. So come back, don't leave. We'll be right back. So I'm going to go into introducing Babatunde. Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Partner Up, the show that celebrates the power of partnerships. Today, we're thrilled to be welcoming Babatunde Akin-Moses, CEO and co-founder of Sycamore. His citation is, on our screens right now because he has done a lot of things. Sycamore is a peer-to-peer lending platform that is making waves in the Nigerian fintech space. There's a lot to unpack there, and you can look. Babatunde has done a lot. He has moved from consulting to this startup game. He's an award-winning entrepreneur. I can count the number of awards alone for 2024. And what his platform does is connecting lenders to borrowers. So that's a champion for financial inclusion through tech-driven solutions. A lot of us are very wary about lending to friends, and Babatunde has found a way for us to crack that. We're so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for making it here today. I'm so happy you made it. Now let's dive into this conversation.
We should.
I've been very interested in Sycamore, just to even start off with. I haven't used it yet because I'm trying to avoid avoid borrowing. I think you need to have money first. So that's one.
Actually, yeah.
You need to have money first to give.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
What inspired you to start Sycamore, and what gap did you see in the market?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think. Okay, so as you mentioned, I'd done 9 to 5 before. I've run a small business as well. I used to have a dry cleaning business, by the way.
Interesting.
Something that doesn't make it to the news very often, but to be honest, that's what happened.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, and I noticed that there were two parallels then. As an individual working in a big four, then I could get credits, right? But as a business owner, I couldn't get credit for the business. So we're supposed to buy these machines, and everybody said, "Oh, you need to have money to get money as a loan as a business, right?" And I kept wondering, if I have money, why would I be asking you for money? Anyways, so it was difficult to do that, and that thought just sort of lingered in my head and filed away. Fast forward 2017, went to business school, Lagos Business School. I met Onyi and Mai when we were talking about really just the challenge of businesses getting access to credit. And they were looking at other countries where it's been done, and we're like, okay, this is this even a problem in Nigeria? And we looked at the data, right, and we saw that, look, out of all the credit the banks were giving, less than 1% was going to small and growing businesses, and with over 40 million SMEs, just a big opportunity, right? So we said, okay, so how are we going to do it? We don't have 25 billion to start a bank, obviously, maybe not now, anyways. And then we found the peer-to-peer lending model that worked in some countries. So it's a combination of, I guess, personal experience, the data, and the opportunity to make an impact, and obviously, hopefully make some money while at it.
That's fascinating. So you started Sycamore right from the bat as a collaboration.
Yes.
That's something that we don't really see a lot.
Absolutely.
We see one solo founder driving things. So I'm really happy that you've highlighted that right from the beginning it was a partnership of sorts.
Yes.
So what would you say are some of the key benefits that you offer to your partners, not just your co-founders, but people who have come on the Sycamore journey either as a lender or even the institutions that you're currently partnered with? What are the key benefits for them? Because I know that you're in peer-to-peer lending, but that's not even as popular as a lot of the financial institutions that we have around right now.
Yeah. I mean, partnership, and this is Partnerup, right? So it's very broad. There are different stakeholders. So we always say we have two sets of customers. If you look at peer-to-peer business model itself, lenders get a very good return better than leaving your money in the bank if you're lending on a platform. And for our borrowers, we really offer like speed for businesses. I don't know if how many people have tried to get money from a commercial bank.
Yeah,
I was
one
chatting
of the
with somebody.
fastest way to die. Just waiting for feedback.
If you get it, the problem you're trying to solve with the money has passed when the money comes,
Yeah.
right? I had a friend doing a project. I was chatting with him on my way here actually, and it's been over a year. It's a large, sizable facility, good and well, but he has finished what he's doing when the offer letter came, right? So, anyways, that's another story. So, from that perspective, and obviously, to deliver this solution, we work with a lot of people. We work with even the same commercial banks because, hey, people still bank with commercial banks. So we offer virtual account services, and our app has other features to help people to get bills and whatnot. So those partners also, sort of benefit. And because of the way fintech is, it touches so many aspects, and you can't really build a fintech app without multiple integrations,
Yeah.
and all those guys are partners, right? So that's a big key side of it. And obviously, in even getting our message out, we've also had to partner with even have media partners, right? As an employer, I didn't think of the media as a very big stakeholder in your
True.
business.
True.
When you start to do business and you want to launch a product, you want to do an event and you want people to come and cover it, then you have to start,
Building those
call your people in,
relationships.
some of those places. So I think that is very key, and obviously government, regulators, and stakeholders. Let me just leave it at that.
No, but that's actually great. I've seen that you've gotten some licenses in
Yes.
the last year, so that government participation is very key.
Yes.
I like also the role that commercial banks play in this. They might not be as friendly to small businesses, but you've been able to bridge a gap.
Yes.
So that's really great. Can you share a bit more about your core values that drive you as a person and your business, especially in decision making and in the partnerships that you seek out?
Yeah. I think for me as an individual, I think one of my biggest core values is about, like, I would call it the golden rule. I'm a Christian, but I see sort of beyond that, where it's best to treat people how you want to be treated, or how you imagine you would love to be treated, and really extending that to having that at the back of your mind. That sort of underpins many of the things that I do, which is why I believe, in treating people well. And I think as a leader, I believe a lot in servant leadership as well, which is sort of related. Is when you're a leader, you're leading to serve. And I think that's where somebody said it's different between a leader and a ruler. If you call yourself a ruler, you're really giving instructions. You have subjects, not people that you're working with. So I think as a person, those are two very key things I like to live by. As a business, we're very big on a few things. Integrity is very big, and it's part of why we've sort of been able to grow without going the traditional startup route. We didn't raise a lot of money, but just keeping our word from time to time. Bias for action, innovation, respect. We're very big on respect, and customer obsession as well. Those are some of the values as a business. And I think individual business, when you're an entrepreneur, there tends to be some sort of osmosis that flows from your personal values.
Yeah.
You can see it in business as well. So,
Applying all that in the Nigerian context is very
it's not easy. It's not easy. You would be called. I think some people, and I find it interesting because my personality now, I'm not really the gra type of person. So some people might tend to think that maybe you're not as smart, you're not sharp because you're supposed to be like gra, every time. But really, at the end of the day, I like to look at those things more from a rational and logical perspective of, do what you're supposed to do. If you ask me for something and I tell you no, it's not about being nice or being wicked. It's just based on some conditions that we've set.
No, but I like what you said, because people feel like to do business in Nigeria, you have to put on a certain persona.
Yeah.
And we're having now a very calm, enlightening conversation, and the word is still getting out there. But in almost Nigerian parlance, there's almost a sort of expectation for who a leader is or how a leader sounds.
Yeah.
But there's some positives as well. I'm sure you're able to convey trust in the way that you speak.
Yes.
A lot of people will find it easier to do business with you because there's
Absolutely.
things that they can draw back on. But how has it been like building those relationships with financial institutions? So a lot in business, there's a lot of the David and Goliath situation. So how has
Yeah.
it been like I don't want to say smaller party, but how has it been being the reacher in the partnerships, especially with the bigger, more established brands? How have you managed that? Because for startups, I know that once you sign that corporate, it's motion things, it's real.
Yeah.
But how are you able to do that coming from a position of an upstart or someone that has more to gain from the partnership?
Yeah. I think it's really like one step at a time. So it's like, okay, let's say you start from day one, you start a business in your garage. You go to somebody for a partnership and they say, no, we want you to go and bring 100 million naira in revenues first and then come back to us. Be like, it's impossible, this one, that one, but you'll be surprised. You might just keep adding one naira every day. And you'll get there eventually, right? So I think it's also trying to be partner at the appropriate level, should I say, because not everybody. Some businesses you can't partner with IFC, for example, just because you don't meet the conditions, not because you are bad or you are good.
Yeah.
So it's also what we said at the beginning, where it's a process, right? And okay, you know what? I would get there. And even maybe sometimes just taking the conditions that they have. Oh, you want me to do 10 things so I can partner with you? Okay, I'm going to be taking them one by one. It might take me 18 months. But guess what? It happens faster than you take.
Yeah.
And I think something also is sort of leveraging on your own network. I think a lot of people take that for granted. So, you had mentioned something. And the interesting about our own kind of like business, both myself and Yamaiwa, we worked before, right? So we're also able to reach out to some of the people that we've worked with in the past. Say, oh, look, we need this introduction. You've worked with us for 10 years. I mean, you worked with me for 10 years. Can you make this introduction? Normally, it would take maybe 3 days for this person to answer, but maybe with your influence or something, you could make an introduction that would take 24 hours or something like that. So I think that is very, very sort of important to then look at, oh, I know Amanda, she's in the logistics space, or she does this. Can she put me through if I want to start, some sort of e-commerce platform or something? So I think that goes a long way, and just sort of building gradually to the point that you can partner with some of those guys.
Okay, that's interesting. So we're still going back a bit to this peer-to-peer lending model. So Nigeria is incredibly diverse with cultural and regulatory nuances. How did you adapt the model to suit our environment?
Yeah.
I know you saw it in different countries, but that definitely cannot be working the same way you imagined it working in those countries. So how were you able to do that, taking our culture into consideration?
Yeah, so I think a lot of business is really experimentation, right? It's some of it is try and error too. So you start something and then it doesn't work, and then you revise the model, but you wouldn't know till you start, right? Because you're trying to get data on what actually works. So for peer-to-peer, the way it works and interestingly, I was able to meet the founder of one of the biggest peer-to-peer lending businesses in Europe before we started. And the way they work is it works like a marketplace where you have like business A, B, C, and then lenders go and see all the businesses that they want to fund, and they choose one and they fund the business. So that's peer-to-peer. We noticed that one or two players wanted to do that here too, and we tried it initially, but we noticed that a lot of people with money, so if you go to the average HNI here, many of them didn't want to do that work of
trying to pick who to
yeah, I mean, I have 10 million I want to invest, and you're giving me work to do. I don't understand.
Are you not the one that needs the money?
Yeah, the one that needs the money. These people need the money. Why am I doing extra work, right? So we said, okay. So we tweaked it a bit to allow people that wanted to do that, but also create a sort of portfolio management to say, look, for those of you that don't want to do this work, we'll help you manage your portfolio, but the returns would be different from if you took the risk by yourself. So it's sort of a hybrid where people could do peer-to-peer lending directly, Or if you don't want to do all of that, you could just allow us manage portfolio on your behalf, which is where most of our lenders actually fall to be honest. So I think, but generally speaking, I would say it was just really okay. You try something at a small scale, you see if it works, and then you keep tweaking till you get what's best.
From what you've mentioned, transparency is key.
Yes.
So how does Sycamore ensure that the trust and openness is there?
Yeah.
Like, I've decided that, I want you to do the work, but how am I able to see the criteria that you're using to pick where my money is going?
Yeah.
I think that's something that is important that somebody will want to know as a lender or HNI listening to this.
Yeah. I mean, so we are very transparent. We give you any information that you want about what you want to do, the tenor of the investment you're trying to make, the proposed rates. We also have a lot of lender engagement. So a few times a year, we have something called Lenders Open Day, where we even invite people. We show them performance of the portfolio. We try to make it physical, but it's hybrid typically because some of our lenders are not even in the country. So we typically will walk them through the body of investment that we make, everything that we do, what we're using the money for, the growth, the plans for next year, and obviously invites them to come and do more business.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah, so there's a lot of communication that goes on there. Yeah.
I like that. So now let's talk about the delicate intersection of relationships and money.
Yes.
So there's a saying, if you want your friendship to last, don't loan money. What are your principles when it comes to love, friendship, and finances? I'm very keen to know this.
I love friendship and finances. I think that I think this is personal to everybody, right? I think for me, I would rather not be in a situation where sort of money comes in between the relationship. But that being said, this is life. A lot of things don't go the way you want it to. So sometimes I think I would say I would rather extend as much grace as I can. If I look at relationships in two buckets, say people that you want to keep at arm's length, obviously, so for some of those people that you wouldn't call friends, maybe just acquaintances or people that are far away from you, obviously you want to dine with a long spoon. It's not like they're the devil.
It's not everybody that,
Yes. And I will also take the approach of, for some of those guys, you can afford to, you don't necessarily have to lend money if you want to. If you don't want to, if you're not comfortable with that, you could always just give what you want to, or you don't give at all, right? But I think for friends and family, they're a bit more delicate. And, anytime we start talking about this, we can delve into things like black tax and all of that. And some people find that term black tax offensive because they're like,
why is it called black tax?
Yeah, why is it black tax? I mean, my uncle, my auntie, my parents, they took care of me. Now I'm taking care of them.
Yeah, that should not be a problem.
It shouldn't be a problem, right? So I think there's a personal tolerance level. Personally, I have friends that have not. I think I have friends that have not done me well with money in the past. I think I'm always open to having to reconcile if I believe they are genuinely friends. And I don't think that money should get in the way of that. But it's not that easy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And again, I think sometimes, you're trying to pay rent, you give somebody money and the person doesn't pay you back. It's not easy to move.
Yeah, it puts a strain on relationships.
It does. So I think as much as possible, you want to do what you think you can tolerate personally based on your own tolerance and risk threshold. And obviously you can also use tools and just keep it as formal as you want if you can manage the fine line.
Okay. I was very particular about this because I know that there's a way that Sycamore is solving for this.
Yes.
And we know that things are hard in the country right now. So the number of requests that some HNIs, not me, but some HNIs are getting a lot of requests, or some people who are seen as rich friends are getting a lot of requests from people that they know or people in their network to lend money.
Yes.
And I know that there might be a way that Sycamore can help with this.
Yes.
It might seem a bit strange for the borrower to receive that sort of request from Sycamore or from the lender through Sycamore, but I know that there's a way you can do this. Could you just give a use case of Sycamore for this?
Yeah.
Because we're in the season where you do want to help,
Yes.
but you want to be sure that you know there's no uncomfortable situation that comes out of giving money.
Yeah.
And we're talking about partnerships, and in
Yeah.
a lot of Nigerian relationships, money is a nuanced conversation. There are people who you give money to and they expect that loan is a giveaway, it's a gift. So
Yeah.
I just want you to talk about this, especially in these hard times.
Yes.
We want to preserve our relationships, but
Yeah.
we know that you still have to lend a hand of a helping hand when necessary. So this is an important use case of Sycamore that I want us to share here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so we built a product called Loan Friends. And what it does is it helps friends and family lend and borrow money to and from each other, right? And the whole idea is supposed to, we like to say we're saving friendships. We're helping friendships because the idea is sort of formalizing that relationship or documenting it, if we may say so. Because if you look at a lot of reports, loans between friends and family is still the biggest source of credit in Africa. Over 60-70% if you check data. So why don't we just digitize that process? So now let's look at two scenarios. If you ask me for money, you need 5K for 2 weeks, and I give it to you, there is no record of where that conversation exists, right? It means both of us have to remember. It means that I have to call you, which can be awkward.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Amanda, how far now? Even me, I'm like,
God,
I don't want to ask, and all of that. So what we've done is we've tried to take out a lot of that awkward conversation and try to also digitize the process, which is send the person a request, and you're going to see the details on it, right? 5K for 2 weeks, and the person just needs to accept or reject. And then when it's time, a few days to that time, the person will be reminded. The person will be reminded about it. And depending on the agreement you have with the person, you can even tokenize the card of the person if you want.
That might be a bit.
So it's optional. It's optional. I mean, and it's because it's experimental, right?
Yeah.
Initially, we made it compulsory that look, on the day we to debit this person's account, but we said, okay, some people find that a bit extreme. So we said, you know what? It depends on the agreement you have, because some people too, for example, if you earn your salary on the 25th and you're a good person, you might just not want to spend the money elsewhere. So you're like, look, on the 25th, let them just debit my account and give Amanda back her 5K. I don't want to have the temptation of getting this money and then going to spend it, right? So we're solving for those reminders, which a lot of people forget. We're solving for the automatic debit, and we're even solving for the fact that you even have that record somewhere. And we're seeing very interesting use cases that hopefully will come on next year too, because even beyond personal relationships, you have a tailor. Tailor has done clothes for 5 people, and they have it on paper and biro, and they have an agreement. You pay 50% upfront, so you have 5 customers that are still owing you money, right? But you now go and check your diary, and you're now calling them one by one. That's a very manual and frustrating process. If you had a product like this, not just friends, for even your customers, something that could remind them that, you're still tailor, you've not paid this person, or even if you're harassing them that they've not delivered your Christmas outfit for you. So there are lots of use cases, and we just think that there is a very big opportunity to making the process smoother and saving friendships too.
Thank you. So we're going to go on a short break, and we'll be back, and we'll still be talking about finance and partnerships. And in this case, partnerships could also mean your personal relationships. Stay tuned.
Looking to take your business to the next level through partnerships? Then join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. for Partnerup.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketing, sales, or partnership professional, Partnerup is here to give you the tools you need to succeed.
From in-depth interviews with industry experts
to real-world case studies of successful partnership strategies that drive innovation and business growth.
we dive deep into what it takes to form successful partnerships.
Thursdays, 10 a.m.
Don't miss Partnerup.
Welcome back, everyone. So we've heard from Babatunde, protecting his users is paramount. He's talked about it, and we're still talking about finance and partnerships, especially relationships in the African sense of it, or in Nigerian context, because almost every relationship here has some element of finance, and I really like what Babatunde has been sharing. So this is towards the end of the year. We don't want your relationships to end over money. So what is one tip, one value that you give to anyone this Christmas who might be under pressure financially in their relationships?
Yeah, I think having a budget and a principle for how you want to allocate that budget is very important. So how I would say it is, if you've made your December, the clean or dirty December budget, or both, and you have allocated this for food, this is for faji, you can actually, what I've seen work and what I've done a lot of times is say, look, this 100K or 200K, I'll use it to help people, right? And it could be dispersed in different ways. It could be use some of it to buy food, use some of it to give cash, however the case may be. And once you get to that limit, you have to then discipline yourself to really put a hold on it. It's not easy. Again, it's really going to be a case of I don't have, and that's the truth. And I don't know why a lot of, I mean, it's not an emotionally easy thing to say or do.
To say you don't have money?
I don't know. For some people, I assume.
Okay.
I think, okay, so for me, for example, now, I like to joke that I spend a lot of time in my day actually rejecting things, rejecting people applying for jobs, rejecting people asking for partnerships with Sycamore, rejecting people asking for loans. So I have templates in my LinkedIn and my email because if 20 people ask for jobs in a day, I mean, there's no space in Sycamore, even if I wanted to employ you. Same thing goes for, goes for people that want to partner. Same thing goes for people asking for loans. You don't qualify, So I've gotten a lot more practice at it of just look, we're only having this conversation because a lot of people find it difficult to just say, oh, I don't have, and without putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. But the truth is, you've already done what you can. And this is me even assuming that you even have a budget that you can even say you want to give away. Not everybody has that luxury because, I mean, we all have personal needs too. So I think trying your best to be as disciplined as you can and just trying not to personalize it and maybe making it, maybe not being too dramatic or emotional about it. It is just what it is. It's not, again, a question of, yeah, I'm not a nice person, yeah, wicked.
Yeah.
It is just it.
So I have some follow-on questions from what you've said. So
Sure,
is
go
it
ahead.
possible for HNI to just have, will I say, profile on Sycamore,
Okay.
and then all their requests can go through this profile? So where people can just immediately reject or accept.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that's so what we have is we have tags. So for example, if you come on Sycamore now, you could create your own tag. That is not your account number that people could use to communicate with you on Sycamore. So you could create Amanda now, for example, although I assume Amanda might be taken. So it's almost like a username, right? So people could give you a request, and for every request you could accept or reject it if you wanted to. So yeah, that's
I think that's also a good product to talk more about in this
Yes.
season, because people can actually track their
Yes,
philanthropy or
yeah,
giving. So
absolutely.
that's something that a lot of people don't track.
Yes, yes,
You
actually.
give out a lot of money, but you don't have a record of how much you've spent in a year on
Yes.
philanthropy or on
Absolutely.
giving.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
more people, just as a use case, are encouraged to have tags or profiles on Sycamore,
Yes.
they might not immediately want to be borrowers, but every philanthropy or every request for giving goes through
Yes.
that platform. Then at the end of every month, they could even see their summary of how much has gone into those discretionary spending or
Absolutely.
discretionary giving. So I think that it's something that is really interesting to talk more about in this December, just so people can see what they're really giving out.
Yeah, I hope my marketing team is listening. I mean, we try to push. So and I love the way you said it now, right? And every time you even do a budget and you spend, or whether you spend below on it or above it, it's always good to go back and reflect.
Yeah.
Now that's something that your typical bank apps will make very difficult to do, because everything will be modeled up in the same place with their charges in between, SMS charge, ATM charge in between. Your so one of the things that we always say when we talk about is, look, track your finances, track your money, know where your money is going to, and know the duration, know the terms too, because you could put you could also put like very detailed narrations there as well. But when you try to explain it, look, you can track this thing, I can go and review later. Not a lot of people get it initially, but I mean, with the way you said it now, I think it's also good feedback for us as a business.
Yeah, like how much have you spent loaning friends in 2024?
In fact, very, very important statistic.
Yeah, it's you never think about it until you think about it.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
From what we've seen in this year and even the year that we're going to, that it calls for a lot of introspection and then analyzing self. A lot of us have inadvertently, without even knowing, cut down on our excesses.
Yes.
And at the time, we didn't know that those things were
We
excesses.
excess.
So it's more like I tell people that I didn't know I was rich last year. So there are a lot of things that you don't even notice when you're doing them.
Yes.
And then unless you're being called back to look at things critically.
Absolutely.
So now we've talked a lot about the borrowers and the lenders. What do you do in cases of defaults? I know that I've never seen Sycamore going to retrieve somebody's generator.
Carry somebody's shop.
But how are you able to, protect your borrowers from exploitation in that way of non-repayment of loans? So how are you able to handle that, since this is peer-to-peer lending?
Yeah. I mean, so for the ones that we manage the portfolio on their behalf, we actually manage recovery too. That's if you are not making the decisions by yourself. Now, for that one, we try to put people into buckets, right? Where first off, we try to make everything automated. So we don't even want to get to a point where we are even coming to your house or coming to your shop. I mean, it's not really it's not our style. And besides, it's getting more difficult for anybody to do it now because of consumer protection is through the roof now. FCCPC is clamping down and all of that. So for us, we want to exhaust all possible digital channels, get card, get direct debits, get GSI, and if all that fails, first follow-up calls, right? Do a lot of calling as much as possible. And because we're purely digital and we don't see, people don't have to come to our office to get a loan or anything like that. We want to keep those digital, those digital means of communication with the customer. So we largely would keep it digital. Now, if it's gone past to a point that it is a bad loan, it's stayed, most likely 6 months and above. We've not heard anything. There's no plan for restructuring. And usually, a lot of times, you just want communication, right? Where people that are in the lending business get the most wary if there is no communication. It's not a case of, I'll try tomorrow, I pay ₦1 today, the person just disappears off the grid. Usually, we would have to write those off or sell them to people that do, debt recovery. Now, those guys can be a little more aggressive, right? Mm-hmm. I know they are not still... They still have limits on how much they can harass because they are regulated as well. But as much as possible for us is doing a lot of KYC upfront, which is why we don't even do instant loans. We give fast loans, but we don't do instant loans because we want to do a lot of KYC so that we can have multiple points to reach you. Because that's all we are going to do. We can harass both by principle and by law. So digital means of collection as much as possible and phone calls if all goes south.
Okay, so something you said earlier in the conversation struck a chord with me.
Okay.
You said that you reject partnerships almost on a daily basis.
Yes.
So what would be the reason why you would reject a partnership at Sycamore?
Yeah.
Earlier we've mentioned that you have different levels of partnerships with
Yes.
financial institutions, now even with media.
Yeah.
What would make you reject a partnership right from the bat?
But okay, that's a good question. So, okay, rejection. Okay, maybe a
Maybe
a
not
more
rejection, but
decline.
decline.
Yeah. I mean, so sometimes it's just because there is no capacity to take that additional partner on. So let me give an example. So let me say for payments now, we probably have Paystack, Bankly, Bicora Pay, a few guys that we use for payments. If somebody comes, there are a lot of payment providers in Nigeria. So every day I get emails, oh, we'd like to be your payment partner. And I'm like, oh, we already have, payment partners, so we're unable to take you on at this time. Again, very formal. It's not acrimonious.
No personal.
Exactly. And that's just what it is. Or we have bank accounts with 15 banks now in Nigeria, right? Or even more. And a bank comes to the office and say, oh, we want you to be your main banking partner, move all your money to us. I'm like, okay, we already have like 15 banking partners. And I'm like, oh, unfortunately, we can't do that this time. Same goes with maybe HR software that we use, maybe recruitment. I get a lot of mails from people trying to help us recruit. We have like a ton of companies that recruit for us already. So if you say you want to come, then it's like, unfortunately, we can't take you at this time because somebody is already doing it. And for some of it, even if it's something we want, because we want to provide everything to our customers in an automated fashion, sometimes it requires integration. So for example, there are some products we're trying to push out this December, and my dev team is already occupied. Integrating now would mean they have to drop what they are doing. Right. So I might say, oh, okay, you know what? We can't do this now. Let's look at March, April. That if I'm not even declining outrightly if we have it already. So I would say having the service already or not seeing value because the truth is, even if you have something, if somebody is presenting a non-generic version of it, you might be forced to move. Let me give you, sorry, no shade though, but I mean, let me give you the recruitment, for example.
Yeah.
If everybody's just doing recruitment, and you come again recruitment, and like, okay, I get like maybe 5-6 of this every other day, right? So I can't work with all the recruitment companies. But if you come and say, oh, you recruit maybe specially for this, and you're very good, you show your track record, and it's something that maybe we need when we're having issues recruiting that particular type of skilled person or something, then maybe you might take a second look. But I think in terms of partnership, yeah, that happens. And I think even, like you said, even media, sometimes you're not sure of the veracity and authenticity of a lot of people. And a lot of people are selling awards these days. Every other day,
say that to feature in some magazine.
Yeah, feature. Come and pay 100,000 once to make best. I've gotten like maybe 50 best CEO of the year offers. Like, Tunde, we've seen your exciting, amazing achievements and inspiration to this generation. Come and pay 100K and be featured as best CEO of the best fintech in the world. And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. God bless you.
So there's something you said, because this show is really targeted at sales professionals, business development professionals as well, and partnership professionals. So there's something that you said that really stood out to me. When somebody is pitching a service where you have multiple providers. So I'm just saying this as a tip, is to start with what is the unique proposition for the business or for anyone, because I can imagine some poor sales or business development person for a HR company that is reaching out to Tunde. You would have gotten so many rejections, but just as a tip, if you were recruiting specifically and you said that I could help Sycamore recruit the best sales or business development people, absolutely, that would be more of a standout conversation than let's help you with your recruitment needs. So for crowded services or businesses, just start with the unique value proposition.
Absolutely. And I think, just to add, so unique makes sense, and I think even level of engagement is also important. So I would say if you send, I don't know how to put this without sounding somehow, but
It sounds
If
somehow.
you
This is a resource that people will learn from.
yeah. So if you are trying to close, okay, so let's look at the organization in three levels. We have, for example, we have sales analyst, we have a sales manager, and then we have me. Let's just assume we have only three levels for simplicity purposes. There are instances where I know a C-level person in that company, but there's an analyst that is reaching out to me. I'm not saying that it can't work, but I mean, if I'm with, okay, I leave this meeting now, I'm with you, and then I get a message from somebody saying, oh, hello, sir, I work with Messenger. We would like to do your delivery for you. And it's very generic. And you can tell it's a template, copy and paste, because there's nothing specific about Tunde or about Sycamore in that email. You can tell that they just put, and some people even make mistake and call me hello, ma. You can tell them in copying and pasting that email, right? And I'm just wondering, Mike, but I know Amanda well. Why are you the one reaching out to me when it would have been a softer landing? Not because I must agree if it was Amanda, but it would have been an easier sell to use that relationship. And I see that happen a lot of times with, okay, at what, who are you reaching out to in that business to even strike the partnership? Sometimes relationship exists, and I say this because even I see salespeople make this mistake. We're trying to get somebody somewhere and say, oh, I've been trying to reach this company. I'm like, this person is my friend now. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that we're trying to reach this person and one salesperson is running circles around you because you're trying to reach this person that I was just talking to? So I think levels of engagement also matters in terms of being able to close, because a big part of sales and partnership is also relationship, and just trying to build it up gradually. You might not necessarily close it the day you send the message. You expect person to sign the document. No, especially if it's a high value, high ticket type of transaction.
I think what you said is really important. Just kind of nurturing the sales channel and trying to be as personalized as possible when reaching out to people. So even if it was a sales analyst, if they reached out to you and to say, oh, hey, Babatunde, I hope you're doing great. I saw some of your images from Silicon Valley. I hope that went well. We have some products that might support your market exploratory, processes. This is it. You would actually read it, even if it was from
absolutely.
stranger from Messenger. You would still read that. So it's just for, it could be really tough.
No, it's not. I mean, I do sales every day as well. So then, I'm in the trenches. So I think, and I made a joke about it on social media, that when you see all the like sales markers from an email, so I'm just laughing. This person is trying to butter me up to close this deal, and I'm like, okay, but it's what you said is good. If you personalize it, you tend to at least remember.
And this person will read. They'll read and remember. You might not close the deal, but that's like one leg in. You remember the name. Maybe another time. So salespeople, there's a lot of work for you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work, because now people are really watching what they spend on. Before we wrap up, let's hear about your most valuable partnership. You don't have to mention names. But this is a partnership that when you close this, you're like, oh my God, I wish this happened yesterday. Just that collaboration that has left the greatest impact on your journey.
Okay. No, funny enough is man, there's been a lot of good partnerships actually. And this doesn't have to be an entity, right?
It doesn't have to be an entity.
Yeah. I would say that there is there's an acquaintance, well, maybe more like a mentor now actually, that I used to work with back in the day, and when we were initially struggling to get a lot of HNIs on board, we'll talk a lot of stories. And like, today you're a nice guy, we trust you, we like you, but
it wasn't closing.
It wasn't closing. There was a particular person that we closed, and after we got him, he sort of opened a gateway to a lot of HNIs, a lot of people that were sort of dragging, and a lot of people that were, the guy literally had to say, oh, okay, I know this is Tunde is my guy. And this is after like toasting this person for like over a year or two, right? But I think that sort of opened, the person really put a lot of, he sort of anointed us, quote unquote.
I like that.
And that really opened the pathway. And we've sort of seen, so in the real case, so while this person is not known on social media, this is a real life influencer. And that sort of gave us a strategy that we then decided to apply, where we say, okay, there's this clique of guys who is the influencer there. Can we get him on board? And sometimes it takes a while. It might use 2 years to close this person. But when you do it, it's worth it, because the payout is really, really, the upside is really significant. So I would say that guy, on that side of things, I wish I could call his name, but unfortunately I can't. But yeah, I think it's yeah.
No, I like that. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's been inspiring to see how partnerships can transform lives and businesses. We've
Yes,
come to the
absolutely.
end of the hour already. Just it seemed like we're just getting into it, but looking forward to speaking to you again. Thank you so much. This is Partner Up. Follow us on Instagram at Partnerup_.